Another video from a question we were asked from one of our avid followers, Robbo. You'll see him following us on our channel and on other channels as well. And he actually dropped me an email, I think it was an email, or made a comment on one of our videos about regarding the taxes that you have to pay when registering a vehicle in Spain. Now, we've done a whole video, so check it out. I'm going to put the link below on what is the process of registering a vehicle in Spain. But I think what I'm going to do is just run through just the taxes. That is it, nothing else, just the taxes that you can expect to pay or waive during the process of registering a vehicle in Spain. Okay, so let's start with point one. Point one is your vehicle from outside of the EU? All vehicles which come from inside the EU will not need to go through customs and excise. But all vehicles which come from outside the EU, which now include Great Britain, have to go through the customs and excise process. Which means one or two things. They will either have to pay or waive the VAT and duty on the vehicle. Right, first of all, let's explain how they calculate the VAT on the vehicle. First of all, you have to pay 21% of the deemed value of that vehicle as part of the VAT if the vehicle is from outside the EU. Okay, how do they calculate what the vehicle's worth? Well, there is a book here in Spain, it's an online PDF, should we more say, and it's published every year, which gives us updated new values for vehicles which have been manufactured with and sold in Spain. Should I say not manufactured here, have been sold and marketed in Spain. So, for example, you might have a Seat Leon. A Seat Leon's new price might have been 20,000 euros. When you come to bring your Seat Leon, if it's only 4 years old, then the customs agent will go and have a look at the book, say, oh, that's a new value. There'll be a depreciation added for how old the vehicle is, which brings the cost of the vehicle down, or how much it's actually worth down, and 21% will be applied to that value, and that is the tax that you will have to pay. The duty is 10% using the same calculation, but don't forget that once they've done the 10% calculation, they then add 21% on top of that 10%. Cheeky, certainly is. Okay, so that's 21% VAT, 10% duty. If you are changing residence and moving to Spain, then you can actually waive this tax. It's advisable you pay a customs agent to present all the documentation for you. He'll ask you for proof of where you used to live and where you are now moving to. We've got a whole video about that as well. I'll put the link below. Okay, so you might not have to pay this tax if you're bringing your goods. Certain conditions apply as change of residence. But if you're not and you're just importing a vehicle from outside, well, it's going to be VAT charged on it. So the vehicle's in Spain and you either have or haven't taken it through the customs process, depending on where you bought it from. The next thing you're going to have to pay, so you've got all your ITV, I said we've got a video below that explains the process. It's all passed and now you're going for your final registration. Well, what do you have to pay before you can finalise the registration of your vehicle? The first thing you have to do is you have to pay or waive the emissions tax. Okay, all vehicles have to present the payment or the waiving of an emissions tax. This emissions tax is called a Modelo 576, Modelo 576. So when you're paying the tax, the calculation is very similar to like the initial calculation they do for the VAT, but they add an extra reduction depending on the emissions of the vehicle. In some cases it's free anyway. If it's less than 121 grams per kilometre, which now happens an awful lot of modern vehicles, you would not have to pay this tax. Again, if you are coming for change of residency, then you can actually waive this tax. But this time you don't present a Model 576, you present a Model 06, which means you go to the tax office, present the Model 06 and all the proof that you're changing residence, so you don't have to pay this tax. Okay, so remember, special emissions tax, special registrations tax, it's sometimes known. If you have to pay it, it's with a Modelo 576, a Model 576, and if you waive it, it's a Model 06, Modelo 06. Okay, whatever happens when you pay that, you get a code, an NRC code, which allows you then to continue with the final registration. But there's a couple more things you have to do. You first of all as well have to register the vehicle for local road tax. Now, depending on where you live and depending on what time of the year you're registering, the vehicles have different costs for road tax. This is generally done at your town hall, unless you have a town hall which is included in a network. For example, like here in Malaga, we have Patronato. Patronato is a network company which actually manages the individual town halls' taxes. Some town halls are in it, not all, and you can go to any one of those offices to register to pay for road tax. So if you're in Alarin, for example, who is part of the Patronato de Malaga, then you could go to Marbella if you just happen to find yourself there to register the tax, which is quite handy. In Alicante, they also have offices called Suma, and it's very much the same. But you have to register for road tax before you can finalise the registration of the vehicle. Now, what happens if you have bought the vehicle off of somebody else? Maybe, for example, in the case of residents in Spain, they have to apply the tax for change of ownership. So here in Spain, when you buy and sell a vehicle, you have to present a tax called a Modelo 621. Modelo 621. This model is a transfer of ownership tax. We pay it when we buy a car here in Spain. And if you are bringing in a vehicle which either isn't in your name, you've bought it maybe by contract from somewhere in Europe, but you haven't got the original documents in your name, you just got a purchase contract. Maybe you recently bought it, put the documents in your name, but haven't owned it for more than 6 months. If you're a resident in Spain, in theory, if you're a resident and you buy a vehicle from anywhere around the world and bring it into Spain, you may get charged this tax. Okay, so some circumstances it's going to apply, most it won't, but you have to be aware that this could be a thing. If you live here in Spain, for example, and you go abroad, buy a car, bring it in, more than likely the DGT are going to ask you for a Modelo 621 transfer of ownership tax. Okay, so that's it. It's purely about the tax in this video. It was a question that we had asked by one of our added followers, and I did promise I was going to do a video on it. You have got VAT and duty, which may or may not be waived. Then you then have the special emissions, special registrations tax, which may or may not be waived. You have the local town hall tax, which we called IVTM, Impuesto de Vehículo de Tracción Mecánica, and you could, in some circumstances, have to pay the change of ownership tax, which is a Modelo 621. Okay, I hope that's answered the questions only about taxes when registering a car in Spain. As I say, there's more videos below which explain the exact process. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please subscribe and like and share it about your friends.